Okay, hello, Seamus. This is Chris Dragata, the guy who's invented this thing here, the DrEWI. Now, I know that since I'm getting ready to send this to you now, you're among the first people I want to consider strongly being a beta tester for this, but there are conditions. I don't want to just send it to you and say, well, there you go. I'm really sending it to you as a trial to see if you take to it and if you really love it, and if you're as interested in it as I am. Well, probably you won't be. I'm really biased towards it, and that's what I'm worried about. Yeah, I think everyone's going to love it. Having the pinky keys on a flat plane gives you the ability to move everything around, and it's not easy to do at first. So you have to kind of be willing to work with it. And also, in addition to that, the configuration of this thing, the way it looks, the way you approach it and place your hands down on it is very off-putting to some people. But you're going to have to, just go with it at first. And also, the bite sensor being the way there is no bite sensor. I have a circuit board with a plug-in here that accommodates a bite sensor. If you want to run up one along the tube, then you would have two tubes in your mouth. But if you just take this whole situation as I've developed it over the years, you'll see that not having anything in your mouth except for this little hook behind your teeth allows you to articulate so much more clearly than if you have something in your mouth. And also being able to move your head back and forth as you play things in different keys. It's very liberating. It's a very nice feeling. So you place your hands down on these platters to stabilize the pinky as you... Now, I use the vibrato for everything. That's why I'm prefacing sending it over to you with this talk about how I use the vibrato, the thumb plates as vibrato, and also my portamento sensors right here. Listen to the kinds of things I can do with no bite sensor. And then also you have your left thumb sensor. You can bring in distortion or another tone. Now, I recommend doing things with large muscle groups. That is, as if your hands are just flippers moving from, let's say, G to D, and doing a paradiddle, like D, G, D, D, G, D, G, G, back and forth like that. And then use that as a way to start moving that cell around. Once you have that, then you can start getting into approach tones. Check it out. So that's the sort of thing I want you to start out with. Develop your own exercises for using the thumb plate as inflection and vibrato. Now there's a ridge along here where you can grab so that you're not overdoing it. It sounds really bad if you use the whole plate or even half of the plate, because I have the plate set up, and ideally the plate should be set up so that when you cover the whole plate you get a half step, so that you can even use it as a fingering like this. Okay, so you can actually get notes that way, and you get into bluesy things, and then you just want to touch the edge of this to get a vibrato that's not disgusting. Yeah, something like that. So get your feet wet with things like that. Don't be afraid of putting a little hook behind your front teeth and not having a bite sensor. Use the thumb for expression along with the portamento plate. You can bend these things. The portamento plate is very thin, so you can kind of tailor it. These are a little thicker, but you know, if you want to drill them out and make them farther apart, you can do that. It's fairly robust. Then there's adjustments on the back of the instrument. 2 screws you can loosen to actually rotate the bottom plate out. And then as you slide this open, which I can't do because I need a screwdriver, there's a screw here. You can go in here and open it up, and inside you'll see there's a screw to loosen up the pod, and you can move around the relationship of these pinky touches relative to your 3, melody making fingers. And that'll slide around. You can put it anywhere you want. And then I put a slight gap in between the pinky pads so that you can feel where you are. And that's a matter of personal taste as far as how deep you want the indents. You can kind of adjust them. I have other ones you can grind them differently to make it feel like a custom frets or whatever, because that's essentially what this is. It's a little fretboard for your pinky, which is essentially moving the rest of the instrument around the circle of fifths. So it's beautiful. We have left thumb sensor. You can actually slide this table to position it anywhere you want. The same thing with the left side. If you loosen this screw, you can slide this out if you want to change where it is relative to the rest of your hand. So there's a great deal of flexibility in how this thing is set up. And inside, it's like a new rad. Now, one thing I'm reluctant to send it out to you because of is it boots up when you plug it in, but the switch doesn't do anything. And I don't know why that is. You're not able to power it on and off or get the battery to charge. So if you want to use it, and I don't fix this problem, I'll have to send it to you so that you can just plug it into a 5-volt wall wart or plug it into your computer directly. If you plug it in with this into your computer, it will power it, and you'll also be able to get MIDI via USB if you want to control a synth on your computer. But I like to use the MIDI port because I use analog synths, and you can do that as well. Unfortunately, no battery charge, no battery charging, and power switch isn't working yet. Maybe by the time I send this out to you, I will have, or by the time because I'm going to work on this a little bit more to try and get this power switch to work, but I really want to get it to beta testers. So let me send this to you, this video, look it over, let me know how you feel about using it with the idea of sending it back if you don't really take to it after a couple of months. But if you're willing to take the time to sit down with it and use it the way it's intended to be used on a desktop, Now, I put pieces of putty on a flat marble surface so that it doesn't slide around on me. One thing I might do is put little rubber stoppers underneath the leading edges of this thing, because when you put pressure down onto it with your hands and you're moving your body and everything, you want it to remain absolutely still. It has to stick to the surface that you're using it on. So I use putty. As you can see, it's got all kinds of dust in it from grinding away at the bench top here, but that keeps it solidly planted. One of the things I might use is little rubber stoppers as part of the production instrument. I don't know how I'm going to handle that yet, but the point I'm trying to make here is that this thing is no good if it's sliding around. It has to be rock solid. Then you can kind of push into it and also slide your finger or ease your pinky into another position as you try and isolate the muscles involved in getting these fingers to move your idea around. As I said, you want to work with basic large muscle groups, and then as you get rhythms and articulations, like you're playing bongos with just left and right, once that starts to be very fluid as you can move your pinkies around, then you can start adding other fingers to imply major, minor, color tones, approach tones. But you got to do the major muscle groups first. At least that's my advice to you as saxophone pedagogue. And that's it. So hope to hear from you soon. Seamus, take care.